actually is officially called, I wrote it down, it is our Spring Home and Garden event. It's a 24-hour event, and Rochelle is here from Leaf and Petal. We're celebrating their 4th anniversary. We have so many cool items coming up, and again, this next one is honeysuckle. Honeysuckle happens to be one of my favorites. I have probably 3 favorite flowers that I love so much, and honeysuckle's right up there because it just smells so darn good. But here's what I wrote, which I thought was funny. It adapts to various climates and soil type, and in almost any part of the country.
Yeah.
So when you think about honeysuckle or florals, you say, oh, is it gonna work? This one's so hardy.
Yeah, well, it's a native plant, so that, I mean, that is why these grow pretty much everywhere, and they're so easy to grow. This one is particularly beautiful because it has these colors. I mean, a lot of honeysuckle is like just orange or just yellow or maybe just pink. This one has the full range of colors in it. That's why I love this one. This one's also a little bit more compact than a lot of honeysuckle. I mean, you might have seen it. It's like rambling out of control somewhere. This one's only gonna get about 6 to 8 feet, so it's just nice and perfect for going up a fence or, you know, even in a window box if you want to go up the side of your house, up a trellis like this in a container. So this is how it comes. You're gonna get 2.
And it comes pretty hardy already.
Yeah,
like
these are great.
It's got a good start.
These are great. They do not need a ton of support to grow themselves. I mean, you do want a trellis or something for them to grow, but they will twine on their own, so it's not a lot of like, some of the climbers you really have to like pin them in and you really have to like baby them to get them to go where you want them to go. Honeysuckle is not one of them. It is a very, very simple plant, and the real reward of this is that scent. That's the reason why you love it. We all love the scent. You know honeysuckle when you smell it. It smells so good.
Yeah. It's funny, we have the gardenias are today's special. Again, that is a significant flower for perfumes.
Yeah.
Honeysuckle it is as well. I mean, think of all the things we sell just for bath and body that has honeysuckle in it.
Yep.
And I think we just love that popular smell. Look at that picture though, how gorgeous. Beautiful. Now here's what I love, it's very cold tolerant. It's disease resistant, and it's easy to grow. That really caught my attention because you really don't have to worry about it too much.
No, I mean, a lot of the native plants, we just don't have to worry about them because they grow naturally here anyway. So that's one of the great big joys of doing that. But other big joy of it is that it's really gonna draw in the pollinators. So birds, bees, butterflies, all of those things that we really need to support. This has got those great flowers with the long throats. We've talked about that before on this one. You know they're good for the pollinators when they have those long, deep flowers, and honeysuckle definitely has them. And this is so easy because it's gonna be covered with these blooms right through most of the season. You're gonna, I mean, yeah, we want to give you these no-brainer plants. Like, that's what Leaf and Petal is all about, is making the non-gardener look like a rock star gardener.
Which is great. Like, God bless them.
Yes.
That's for the vast majority
That's why we pick things
that's
to bring to each of us. It's the easy stuff, or the stuff that looks hard but isn't really hard.
Okay, so now let's talk shipping, and then I want to talk about what to do when we get home with it.
Yes, so when you get home with it, this is something you can plant it in a container like we've got here. Personally, I would put it right in the garden. It's hardy throughout most of the country. You're gonna get it like this. You can put 2 of them together for a fuller look. I would probably spread them out. It will ship according to that same zone map that we saw a little bit ago. It will be arriving right when you should plant it. That's another thing we try to do. We try to take all the questions out of your mind. So when it arrives, that's when you plant it. That's when it's safe to plant it outside in your garden. So this one is quite simple. Just make sure you have something for it to grow on. Otherwise, it'll kind of end up as a mound. So you can plant it. We know one of my favorite things to do, though, is if you have something else growing, like maybe you have a climbing rose or, I don't know, wisteria or something else. I love planting climbers with other climbers because then they climb through each other and they look extra pretty, you know? And so something's blooming in the spring and something else blooms in the summer. You've got blooms all year round. So depending on what you've got, plant it with another climber or someplace where it can grow.
Okay, and then you mentioned it, but I want a little more clarification. How often and how long will we see flowers?
You will see flowers basically all summer. These are summer bloomers.
Nice.
And this is how they come. These are pretty substantial. And you'll see too, like these have these really, they grow on their own. They grab on their own. So you don't have to do a lot of pinning and tucking to get it up that trellis.
That's so cool.
They're very
and I think too about mailboxes, how gorgeous. You ever drive by somebody who's got a climbing on their mailbox? mailbox. It's just, it is such a cool, I love going down a road and you see just these beautiful florals going up a mailbox, or if you have a light pole, how pretty on a light pole going up the pole. And so instead of the kind of an ugly pole, there you go. Or here's another thing, do you have to hide something? I mean, do you have like a really, like maybe you have an outdoor air conditioning unit and it's just so ugly. You're like, that's not pretty. When I sit out back, I don't want to see my air conditioning unit. What you do is you just get very inexpensive trellis, or you know, those the expandable fences. You put it around it, plant these, and before you know it, that's going to be completely beautifully covered with the honeysuckle.
Or you know what a lot of people have? They have the elevated decks, and they have that kind of grubby area under the deck, and you put trellis around that. Plant this in front of the trellis, it will grow right up, and it'll grow, you know, up through your railings, and you'll smell it throughout, you know, every time you're sitting on your deck. It's perfect for that.
It's so gorgeous. And you know what I think too, and again, this is $29.95. We've got 3 flex on this. We have 5 flex, by the way, on the today's special. Whenever you can bring florals into your life and it's really easy, that's what we love. And I really am speaking to a lot of you who say, well, I live in an apartment, or I live in under 700 square feet, but I do have a little patio out back. Just adding 1 floral, obviously the today's special is spectacular. It'll work. Adding this, maybe you have that privacy wall and it's so ugly between you and the next person beside you, and you want to make it beautiful, you just put it in a container. You don't need a fancy big garden to look like you know what you're doing when it comes to gardening. And this one especially, also with the lavender, I want to repeat this because I think it's so important, especially if you don't do a lot of gardening. It's cold tolerant, it's disease resistant, and it's very, very easy to grow. So if you just want to kind of put it out and kind of semi-forget about it once it's all stable and going, then you kind of can when you're talking about this one specifically.
Yeah, no, definitely. You know, I've specified plants for gardens and projects. This is one I've done a fair number of hotel projects. We put these in hotels because they're so tough. They're like
they
people
take the abuse.
Yeah, like in these little gardens at hotels.
That's great.
They're great for that. So, you know, this is definitely one of those plants you are not going to have an easy time of killing. You're not going to have an easy time of, you know, making it anything other than beautiful. This is going to grow for you. Right as soon as you get it. I mean, this puts
and it's a perennial too.
And it's
so
perennial.
Year after year, year after year, season after season. Again, it's not one and done like an annual and it dies. And you know what? I love annuals, but boy, when I plant them, then all of a sudden the season's over, you're like, oh God, I gotta plant them again. I ain't got time for that. I love perennials, okay? Well, let me give you an update on our beautiful today's special. It is your choice of the hibiscus, which is these beautiful giant blooms, or the sweet smell of the gardenia plant. These are literally trees that come woven in, you know, literally out of the box. Now I'm going to step down here because I want to show you guys what they look like when they arrive. You're not getting a stick, which you hope 10 years from now you're going to get it to be something. This is literally the size, approximately, or close to, that they will come to your door. Now remember, if you get the plant food, which will work on the honeysuckle as well, and even the lavender, now you're getting free shipping all day long because you meet the $75 threshold. Most of you are throwing in the plant food to get the free shipping and to take the best care you can of the flowers of your tree. So you do have the 2 options. We've now sold over 1,400 today's specials in about a little around a half an hour or so. So it's a great time if you're picking up the gardenia, which is the most limited, or the hibiscus, which is the most popular. Right now is the perfect time to get it, and then you sit back and boom, it comes to your door. Also, think Mother's Day gift. We will ship it to that person. Think new baby. Wait, can you imagine a Mark, a new baby born? Like, oh my gosh, every time this bloom